Hi, everybody. Welcome to Winsight Live. We've got a great show for you today. Before I kick it over to Phil Lempert, a couple of news items we've been working on this morning. Yesterday, Spartan Nash, or last evening, Spartan Nash reported their second quarter earnings. Comps in their retail division, which has never been positive until late last year, were up 17.1%, 9.4% sales gains overall. So pretty good figures there. And Dennis Eidson, their interim CEO, is a guy I love to listen to discuss the industry. He gave some real thoughtful comments on sort of how he sees the industry coming out of this. It's worth a read when it gets up on our site. Also, yesterday, the Consumer Price Index came out showing that grocery inflation was 4.6% year over year in the month of July. So prices are still rising, but that is less of a rate than the 5.6% in June, due mainly to moderating prices or moderating inflation, that is, in meat. Over to you, Phil.
Sure, John. And on the Spartan Nash thing, also want to give kudos to Lori Rea. Lori is now in charge of marketing everything. She was the president of Safeway Northern California division, and she's made some significant inroads, certainly as it relates to their loyalty programs, helping all their members out with really good marketing. So I think they make a great team together. Also, you and I were talking before about Albertsons now putting vertical farms in their stores, which is an idea that has been through Europe and Japan for a number of years. I think they're going up to 430 stores, partnering with Plenty on it. And when you really think about it, it is so logical. You're in New York, I'm in California. We both buy bag lettuce for $2.99, but your bag lettuce has to be shipped from California, which processes or grows 95% of all lettuces. So it's just a very inefficient system. And as we see more retailers putting in these indoor farms, I think that from a quality standpoint, a taste standpoint, a price standpoint, it really moves forward in a big way. The other bad news, terrible news that we saw being reported is that there were 3 cities in China that has found COVID-19 on food packaging, frozen food packaging in particular. They found it on shrimp, they found it on other seafood, and they found it on chicken wings that were actually imported from Brazil. So the one call out to all of our US supermarket buyers is, frankly, when we look at imported foods, once those borders open up again, we need to be testing the outside of that packaging. And those pictures that we made fun of consumers when they brought things home, wiping them down with not Clorox wipes, because we can't find Clorox wipes, but other things, maybe there's some truth to that. We still have to see it. It's reported by the Chinese government for whatever that means, but still, we should be alerted to that when those borders open up. Lastly, and Kat, I really want to get your impression on this too, because you've been following it. Great story, a must read for everybody in food service, whether you be a chef or a restaurateur, a C-store operator, certainly a grocery store operator. The Washington Post story, grocery workers say that morale is at an all-time low. They don't even treat us like humans anymore. It's a long story, but worth the read. And to be honest with you, I've had a bunch of conversations where people have said to me, what's the biggest problem that we're going to have post-COVID-19? And I have said repeatedly, labor. We have not fixed this labor situation, whether it's morale, whether it's pay. The story talks about people just quitting mid-shift and walking out because of the way they're being treated. And yes, we talked last time about People Inc. going into stores and training people to be able to calm other people down that aren't wearing masks and so on. But I really think our number one problem, because I think we can fix the supply chain, I don't think we can fix the morale and the labor issue. Kat, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm working on a labor story for our print issue that will be coming out in a few weeks. And labor was a huge part of the focus of that issue. And, it can be as simple as, taking care of your workers, paying attention to when they may be getting, angrier faster than they used to, or, not performing their duties like they used to, and allowing them to take a break, giving them that little bit of reprieve. But also in the state of Illinois, we saw late last week, our Governor Pritzker, made it a felony to attack a retail worker who is trying to enforce a health mandate like wearing a mask. So now, hopefully, in Illinois, we will start seeing some of those incidences of customers behaving badly lessen, or at least now there is some action that can be taken. They can get up to, I believe, I have to double check, 10 years in jail and a $25,000 fine. So, I mean, that's nothing to mess around with.
And I also have got to think that it makes those grocery workers feel good that, somebody's trying to protect them.
Yeah, they now, somebody's got their back now, I mean, before I think they felt like they were just out there and there wasn't a whole lot that anybody could do to protect them. So at least in the state of Illinois, they've got some protection now and someone to fall back on.
Yeah, it would be great if that could go national.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think we had some technical issues on my end, but hopefully we're back. So, I guess what I was saying is that I wish that something like that would go nationwide. So Jen, tell us about some secrets that are uncovered about Trader Joe's.
Well, Trader Joe's, does like once a month, they do these podcasts, and it's actually pretty interesting. They really, for a retailer who's pretty closed mouthed about things that, that they're doing, they really kind of they run with it on these podcasts. So I always tune into them. And this latest one was on their tasting panel, and it kind of gave you this, top secret look at how they select products. And obviously, with COVID, their tasting panel has had to make some modifications, like tasting via Zoom rather than in a room altogether, where you're sampling products. But, they really have said that their pickiness and their, commitment to flavor and quality in their products is how they've been so successful with their store brands, and the close partnership between the tasting panel and the suppliers. And, they'll tweak dial the pepper back on something and get it just, the way they think their customers are going to like it. And then at the end of the podcast, they said that they are going to now, in an effort to be reflect more diversity, make sure that 15% of the products that they're sampling in their tasting panels are from Black-owned businesses. So I thought that was cool. And it was kind of interesting that was on the heels of, Trader Joe's was originally going to get rid of Trader Jose's, Trader Ming's, Trader Giotto's. It's kind of, more whimsical product names that reflected, Italian, Asian, Mexican cuisine. And so they issued a statement recently on that, sort of their reversal of that decision. And, they said, while we don't make decisions because of petitions, there was they had received some misinformation that motivated them to say, okay, we'll change these product names, and then ultimately went back and said, no, we're going to keep them, because they got this huge outpouring from their loyal shoppers who said, we think that, it's just fun. We thought it was just fun product marketing, not racist. So they're keeping the names.
and it's because they listened to our discussion right here on
right.
That's what really turned them. They might say that it was consumers. No, it was
it was supermarket guru.
Yeah, exactly. So Pat, what's going on in restaurants that might be good news or might be bad news for consumers?
Well, restaurants are shrinking their menus, and this started happening at the beginning of the pandemic when they were going to takeout and delivery only, because those were items that traveled well or were easy for an understaffed kitchen to execute. But now a lot of them are keeping the smaller format because it's just more efficient for the kitchen, and it's actually easier for consumers. First of all, the restaurants want to turn tables faster because they have reduced capacity. So they're trying to focus on the things that are the most popular, put them in the center of the menu so that people will gravitate towards those. Those are also the ones that are usually least labor intensive. And a number of chains have done this recently, including Applebee's and Taco Bell and Cracker Barrel. And Cracker Barrel, in fact, reorganized its whole menu, not only took items off, but they reorganized it so that it was less complicated for consumers to look at. So I think that's good news for customers.
Yeah, I do too. And I'll tell you, having grown up in New York, and John can attest to this, one of the things that I love, but is always confusing to me, is going into one of these Greek diners that has a menu that's like this thick. And you're just turning page after page and you're looking at all this stuff. And by the time I get to the last page, I still have no clue of what I want to order, because, there's a page of Greek things here and then Italian things here, and it's more confusing. I personally like simpler menus. What do you guys think?
Phil, it's interesting that this kind of dovetails with what's going on in retail, where supply chains have had to been shrunk in as a result of the pandemic supply chain issues, and yeah, the question's always out there. How much is too much on assortment, and what does the great sales that these supermarkets are doing with much less assortment tell you about where things are going? That said, right, until this pandemic came along, a lot of the growth came from the new items and the long tail items and the other things. So there's a balance to be reached, and they haven't done it yet quite in food retail yet.
Well, a lot of these chains are actually going to introduce specials as limited time offers so that they won't eliminate like innovation, but they'll make it, on a limited time offer.
So Pat, you probably will remember this and remember the facts much better than I. But I remember probably about 10, 12 years ago, McDonald's, when they went to their digital signboards, basically did some research. They found that people would go into McDonald's, they would be standing there looking at the menu board that had 20, 25 items on it, because it wasn't digital, they weren't able to change it, and it really slowed them down, and people took a lot longer to make decisions. Once they did the digital menus, so at breakfast time, you only see breakfast, and maybe you see, one other item that's not breakfast. At lunch, it's just the lunch items and so on. It really sped up the service and made customers feel happier because it was easier to decide.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's one of the reasons they're shrinking the menus now, because they want to speed up service. And they're also doing a lot of delivery and takeout orders, so they can't, take too much time serving people. But the one chain that hasn't reduced its menu is Cheesecake Factory, which is.
I was going to ask about Cheesecake Factory because they have a whole book for that menu.
It's like the big diners.
The most intimidating menu I've ever seen.
Yeah. Well, we have to bring you to a New Jersey Greek diner, Brett. So Brett, that's a good segue into food trucks. What's going on in the food truck world?
So Spinks, which is a convenience store chain based in Greenville, South Carolina. They operate about a little more than 90 stores in the South Carolina area. They are launching their Cluck Truck food truck.
Food truck?
It's called the Cluck Truck food truck.
What brilliant marketer came up with that name?
The brilliant marketing team from the Spinks company. So it's called Cluck Truck because they're known for their Southern fried chicken. Obviously, they're a Southern chain, so they have a lot of, Southern inspired foods like fried chicken, chicken tenders, chicken tender salad, chicken tender bowls, chicken tender, you name it. So that's what they focus on. But very cool stuff here. I mean, I know at least for the convenience store industry, since premium food service has been the hottest topic over the last couple of years, food trucks have been a conversation in this area. So it's cool to see Spinks, which is a mid-sized retailer, get involved with this. The food truck is going to be available. It's starting this fall. I'm pretty sure they just launched it, or it's going to be launched like within the next week or two. It's only going to be available at Sphinx stores in South Carolina's upstate region, which I believe is Greenville, Spartanburg, and Anderson, South Carolina. So cool stuff. And their CEO, chairman and founder, Stuart Spinks, said that this has been a long time dream in the making. So good for Spinks here with the food truck.
So one clarification, you said it's available at their store. So they're going to be putting their food truck in their own parking lots?
That's
not,
what it,
not driving around to pick up other customers that they don't have?
I mean, that's what it sounds like right now, that the food truck is just going to be sitting outside. In the image that I received from them, it's a picture of a food truck, and it's actually, you can see in the background a Spinks gas station and fueling station. So as far as I'm concerned, it's going to just sit outside the store.
So can you get me their marketing department's phone number? I got to talk to these people. First with the name. Second, the idea of a food truck is brilliant. I think it's great, but it should be to attract other customers that they're not getting now, rather than customers who are familiar with them.
So I believe Spinks did say that it's going to be available for booking as well. So, you know, if I'm having
I could have a duck cluck whatever truck party.
Sure. So if you're so if you're having a party somewhere, a gathering, a family reunion for the Lemperts, you know, and if you want to have Spinks's food truck, I believe you can have them cater the event and have them. So they do that as well, but it also looks like they're going to be posting up outside their stores.
Okay.
It could also be something to do with ordinances. I don't know what South Carolina is like, but I know in Chicago it can be very hard for a food truck to find a place to park, and
almost impossible.
In front of their own building. Then, you know, they have rights to those spots, and that way it's easy for customers to get there too. That might have something to do with it.
Or the fact that people don't really want to go into stores now. You know, you can sit outside and order from outside.
Right.
Yeah, that is a big thing. That'll help the food service sales most likely, for sure.
Okay, then I'm only going to call him about one thing. John, some interesting late breaking news yesterday about Walmart partnering with Instacart.
Yeah, Instacart talked about that. To my knowledge, Walmart has not yet, but interesting note, you know, Instacart has planted their flag just about every place in the US in food retail by now, except Walmart. They've done Walmart in Canada, they've done Sam's Club stores. Walmart's always done their own thing. So they announced this week 4 markets, 3 in California, 1 in Oklahoma, where the Walmart is now available on the Instacart marketplace. That means people who are shopping Instacart will find Walmart as among their options to shop. You know, I think, you know, not a lot of the coverage focused on this. I found it was interesting that, you know, they chose the markets that they did. 3 in California, those are places where, you know, Walmart's going to face off against Amazon pretty shortly, and they've got weak market share. And, you know, whereas when Walmart does something in Tulsa, it's a big deal because their market shares there is 48%. So, you know, in Tulsa, I think it might serve a little bit of a different purpose, you know, and maybe they alleviate a little bit of the strain on a grocer, you know, serving 48% of the country with e-commerce exploding and all the other options that they've got to deliver things to people in their pickup. So, you know, this looks like the beginnings of something, and we'll see how it goes as it goes forward. But, you know, geez, Instacart is just everywhere now, and you know, Walmart's really kind of leading the way in online food, you know, grocery at this point.
So, John, when I look at the Instacart app that's on my phone, it has now gotten so jammed with retailers' logos, and I haven't really seen, and you might know this, I haven't really seen any strategy behind different retailers on Instacart trying to get you to use their app. They're always in the same position. I'm not seeing, you know, any pop-up ad that says shop today at Walmart and get 10% off. Do you think that we're going to start to see more merchandising on the Instacart app by retailer?
Well, I wouldn't doubt it, but, you know, I think that, you know, Instacart offers a white label option, and a lot of the retailers that are invested with them, you know, have their own sort of powered by Instacart option. And I think for retailers that want to stand out on the, versus, as you said, real estate on the app is getting pretty crowded, but so they can do their white label powered by Instacart. Food Lion, for example, is doing it that way. Other guys are doing it different ways. Listen, Instacart has I know that they've been a controversial topic in the industry for as long as they've existed, but you know what? They want the retailers to do well because they won't do well if they don't. So, to the extent that there's opportunity for them to, offer retailers a better opportunity to move up the rankings on the marketplace, I'm sure that it's out there for them.
And the other thing that I'd love to see them do is, do a comparison. Maybe I just hit Instacart and across the top, it's all the different retailers, and I can put in my shopping list and it can total it up for me and then determine who, based on my shopping list, is going to be the cheapest. Because there's been times where I've looked on one and there's a product there at, let's say, $5. I've looked at the other one and it's at $3.50. But who's going to go back and forth between? I think I've got now 11 different retailers on my Instacart. I mean,
you
just
could
the opposite of
make
convenience.
5 orders on Instacart if you wanted to, 5 separate orders and shop from 5 separate stores. But that sort of is sort of against the purpose of sort of saving the time and money of shopping around in real world that you would also do. And price transparency is a tricky thing for people who are shopping through an app like that, because one, they want you to choose one at a time, obviously. And the prices Instacart will tell you are set by the retailers, not by Instacart. Some of them have an upcharge, some of them don't. Some of the prices are the same in stores, some are not. Some have offers that are available in stores and not on the app, and the other way around too, because Instacart's making deals with suppliers that might be pushing products on there. So look, it's a service for people and a convenience that in a general sense people are willing to pay up for, and that's part of the sort of bargain of it.
Sure. So, Jen, why don't you wrap us up with some good news, and please, nothing to do with chicken or food trucks.
Amazingly, no, that's not what I was going to talk about. Publix was just named United Way's #1 corporate donor, which is cool. And United Way, of course, is the world's largest privately funded nonprofit. And Publix has donated a total of $63.6 million to United Way. Wow. Their associates pledged $38.6 million in a workplace campaign, and then Publix supermarkets charities donated another $25 million. So
very cool.
Very cool.
Very cool. We're all in this together. So thanks for joining us. Again, as always, our archived episodes are on CSP, Restaurant Business, Winsight Grocery Business, Supermarket Guru, and we'll be back here on Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Have a great weekend, be safe, and you know what I'm going to say, wear a mask.